What's up, y'all? Peace, love, and light to everybody. Hope everybody having a good Friday. Hope everybody's well. And for those that are going through something right now, remember, it's only temporary. You gotta find a way to get through, process those emotions, feel what you need to feel, heal what you need to heal, and let it go. So, before I even get started, let me go ahead and get the disclaimer out of the way. My content's for educational purposes only. Can't stress enough for you guys to do your own research. Praise my content, throw any errors you find in the comments. None of us have been alive long enough to know all that transpired in the past, and none of us can live long enough to know all there is to learn. Alright. Had two different videos in mind that I'm going to do. I just don't know which one this is going to be until it happens. So, I'm going to just flow, let the energy flow, and whichever way I go is the way it go. Alright, Yeah, I think that's the way I'm going to go. Alright. A lot of us are parents. A lot of us are unmarried parents. I happen to be an unmarried parent. Actually, a single father as I record this. I only have two daughters, and I wasn't married to either of their mothers. So this video will be about co-parenting. I feel it's an important topic for me to touch on because it's one that I've had ups and downs with, and I'm pretty sure that based on my experiences and the lessons learned from those experiences can help somebody else that may be going through something that I've already been through, grown from, and evolved from. So that is my decision to go ahead and touch on the subject matter of co-parenting. So being as though I can only talk about me, let me do that. My experiences with co-parenting have grown me, have matured me, has influenced me to gain emotional intelligence, and has ultimately made me, or contributed to making me, a better father. However, that's my perception of it. Others have theirs. So let me just get into that piece. When I first became a father, I lacked the significance of what fatherhood was based upon my dealings with my now deceased father. Ended up going away on my oldest. She was 1.5 years, and I ended up having to do 5 years. Running around like a goddamn chicken with my head cut off. Running the streets, hustling, smoking wet, doing what we do in those types of circumstances. Anyway, during the 5-year stint, the sense of loss that I felt kind of pushed me to take certain courses. Responsible fatherhood, anger management. I had to do it anyway based on my charges, but the way I approached it was vastly more significant. I approached it in a manner whereas though I knew that there was a massive amount of change and growth that I needed to make in order to be efficient in my role as a father. Again, my background, I've experienced a lot in the amount of time I've been on this earth, this incarnation. And I'm grateful for all that I've been through because it's taught me a lot and it's made me as, the individual that I am today. I happen to love who that is more so than I've ever in the past. Anyway, I approached it from a position of breaking chains, breaking cycles, breaking curses, because my childhood was quite traumatic. And I didn't want to revisit that trauma on to my children. So long story short, and I just seen a post while I'm at it that spoke about masculinity. Sometimes as a masculine man, you have to make decisions that are not going to be supported nor popular or agreed upon. But they still have to be made nonetheless. All right, so let me get into it. Parenting, co-parenting rather. Okay, no, all right, that's just popped up on the screen. Co-parenting, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, requires a willingness to put any emotions that you have for either your counterpart or your child's other parent aside, and instead to focus on the betterment, the well-being, and the future of the child that came as a result of you guys coming together. It also requires effective and open communication. In my opinion, those are the two most important factors in a co-parenting relationship. Did I always practice that? Do I always practice that? And this is where I realize, as in real time, as I'm recording this video, that I need to you know, be willing to do the things that I'm not always willing to do. In circumstances where as though you are the father and or you may be the mother, it's a unisex situation. Whereas though you may have the other parent that is not on the same wavelength as you, you know, being subjugated to the system, family court, child support, etc. You know, and this was as a result of my younger self not being as mature, not being emotionally intelligent, and just not forward thinking enough. I made decisions in my past as a father that affected or that caused certain effects that I had to push through. So again, this video is not going to be about pointing fingers. Instead, it's going to be about the opposite. Taking responsibility for the part you play, the decisions you make. So, I am responsible for creating feelings in the other parent, you know, in my ignorance. However, it hasn't served the relationship as it concerns co-parenting. And I find myself now, you know, trying to conquer those issues within myself. And to give you a better understanding of what that entails, you know, first of all, everybody's not going, well, the other parent is not going to always agree with what you see, with how you decide to handle situations regarding the child. And especially when the lines of communication aren't as effective and open as they need to be, these are the types of circumstances that you may encounter. Let's just deal with conflict resolution. Again, the other parent's not going to always agree, especially if you guys don't have an open and effective line of communication relative to the child. However, going back and forth and arguing is not going to serve either of you, most importantly, the child. So, if I could give you any advice as it relates to that aspect of co-parenting, it would be to hold on for a minute. KK,
Yes.
you get them assignments done?
Yes.
All right, I'm doing a video right now. As soon as I get done, I'll be up there.
Okay.
Just give me about a few minutes. I'm gonna wrap it up short.
Okay.
All right. You hungry?
No, I'm okay.
All right. Okay. Where was I at? Yeah, this is my off day. One of my off days. So, you know, taking a little shiz out. In celebration of a few things that will remain nameless. Remain nameless. But I'm trying to remember where I was at. Y'all work with me. Anyway, let me just start all over. In situations where the lines of communication aren't as open and effective as they need to be, so that things can run smoothly and synonymously, with the child. You have to get to a point in place whereas, you're not instigating anything or doing things in a manner that will cause friction between you and the other parent. I mentioned something that I definitely need to go toward, and that is the parents supporting each other's decisions. Not only supporting each other's decisions as it relates to the betterment and the well-being of the child, but also communicating. Whether you're the what is that called? The primary caregiver or not. And if you guys are involved in the system or not, especially if you're involved in the system, it's important to communicate what your plans may be as it relates to what you're going to involve the child in. You have to make sure that everything that goes on with the child, you openly and effectively communicate with the other parent. I have a personal bone to pick about or with the system, because not necessarily, the system, because I know what it's really about. But, in circumstances where you have a co-parent that either fails to or feels as though they don't have to because they're the primary caregiver, communicate with you about what you're going to involve the child in. I think that needs to be looked at, because especially if you're involved in the system, I know things are set up the way they're set up, but the system wasn't there when y'all amalgamated, which led to the production of said child. You also have to understand that it's just another day in the office for those people. They do not have a personal, they do not have a personal interest in that child. And I need to reinforce the fact that everything is energy, and children can feel and sense, even if you don't say anything, they can sense the friction between the two parents. And the worst thing that can be done is to make the child feel as though they have to choose between one or the other, when anybody that knows that it takes both. See, the courts have a fiduciary interest. They don't have a personal interest. And without getting into it, this is why I share the types of videos that I share on this channel, as it relates to ironically, be in control of your own vessel. When I say that, I mean that in the way that the law is set up. They operate under maritime admiralty military jurisdiction rule, military rule jurisdiction. So basically they operate with the law of the sea. And as a vessel, which is what one of the legal definitions of a person is, the reason they're able to make decisions and or control what goes on with the child is because many of us are not in control of our own vessels. We haven't approached or attacked the issue of nationality, not being nationalized. I'm talking about having a nationality, belonging to a certain nation, of which black, Negro, colored, African American, white, or black belong to, if the truth be told. But the other side of that coin, another side of that coin is being in control, and I don't want to touch too much on this because this is the other subject matter of the other video that I will be doing next. Being in control of your vessel internally, being able to separate the needs and welfare of the child beyond your personal perception and or feelings and emotions for the other parent. You're not going to be able to control the perception of the other parent. You're not going to be able to control how the other parent feels. You're not going to be able to control what the other parent does. The only way to conquer and make progress in that realm is to effectively and openly communicate, compromise. And that is the part that I've seen the most conflict regarding co-parenting. Some parents, conveniently make reference to the child as theirs instead of ours. Some parents conveniently, and thanks to the system, disinclude the other parent in major decisions relating to the child. The reason I'm speaking on this is because, again, you don't call on the state when certain things arise with the child. You call on the person you created that child with. So I just think that the relationship between the two parents needs to be given due care. Everybody's not at the same rate or level of maturity. Everybody's not on the same level or rate of emotional intelligence. So in some instances for the better welfare and forward movement of the child's mental health, and the child's emotional stability. You know, sometimes you got to put your own personal shit aside, man. You know, and this is for anybody that shoe fits. I had to do it. It was imperative that I did it. Actually, I've changed my whole regiment and approach to parenting, parenthood. I'm no longer going to give any energy less than positive any life. I'm not going to, promulgate any disharmony. I'm just going to effectively and openly communicate. And as a man, a masculine man, damn the courts. If I see a need for the child to have to forego certain things that are of a less importance or basically non-significance to the welfare and the forward movement of the child and the child's future, I'm going to make that decision and stand on it and effectively communicate my reasons for doing such. And it's kind of sad that out of two parents, one has to operate in that manner, but we don't live in a perfect world, and the things that I'm speaking about as far as the way I see, in my personal opinion, how things ought to be, the way things should be, the way things used to be, the way things will benefit the child, which is the main person in the parenting scope. Any child, whether boy or girl. Some parents come from the perspective that daughters need to be with their mothers. Other people come from the position that little boys need to be with their fathers. And whichever your opinion may be or where it may fall, my opinion is that the child, whether boy or girl, needs both parents. They need the masculine and the feminine, the balance. You know how long it took me to get my own masculine and feminine balance due to a lot of the toxicity that exists between parents where there's a child involved? I don't want that for none of mine. I made some mistakes. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. And it's not about pointing the finger. Again, I said that at the beginning. What it's about is collectively, the two parents making decisions and compromising until, things fit like this here, like my fingers are interlocked. And when the fingers interlocked, if the outcome isn't benefiting the child or in the best welfare of the child, then you got to go back to the drawing board and interlock them again in a different way. To where as though both parents are satisfied, but more so importantly, the child is satisfied. We tend to forget that children are nothing but the ancestors reincarnated. And see, I look at things from multiple different perspectives, not just, the surface perspective. We're all our own individuals, and I am as well. And my perception is vast. No big head syndrome here. No looking down on anyone here. No trying to make somebody look less than who and what they are. Not trying to cast someone in a negative light. That's no longer what I'm about. And that is not my intention. But at the end of the day, sometimes, you have to be all right with some things that you may not like or agree with, but it just so happens that you also recognize that the thing or the decision or the action that you don't agree with just happens to be the best thing for the child. And in those circumstances, you have to embody the ability to put your own personal feelings and ideologies to the side, especially if it's working for the child. See, a lot of times we tend to, as parents, put our personal feelings in the mix. And it's not about us. It's not about the man or the woman. It's about the child. And trust me, man, the courts, they do not give a fuck about the child, much less the father or the mother. They have a fiduciary interest. One of these days, I'm going to make a video and show you what I mean when I say they have a fiduciary interest. But, I just think that we on a collective level can do better. We do not need no third party to intervene. I'm not a woman, but if I was a woman and the father of our child was not playing his part, was not doing what is necessary to help me raise that child, guess what? Ain't nothing the system or the courts can do that's gonna bring the karma that a child, him or herself, would bring when that day comes and they have to deal with all those unresolved conflicts and emotional toxicity and turmoil and trauma that child had to endure when they confront that parent. It ain't no amount of money that can compare to that. How do I know? I did it with both of my parents. And we also, man, on a whole different level, man. We need to this is my opinion. This is in no way me trying to, force my opinion, or not that I could, or to try to make people see things from my perspective. I just know that for eons, our ancestors were doing fine before we ran across the European, their customs, their ways, their forced way of living. And life is cyclical, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Meaning that things start here, they go around in the cycle, and they come back. That's what is meant when they say history repeats itself. So based on that fact, my personal opinion and feeling is we need to get back to some shit. Ain't nothing that somebody outside of you and the other parent are going to do or force someone to do that can't be done between the two of you, providing both of you are adults, because we do have a lot of grown-ass people, women and men, grown-ass men with boy brains and emotions, and grown-ass women with little girl brains and emotions. And this is just on a collective level. We all got to look in the fucking mirror. I'm no better than nobody. I am different. And I continue to evolve. A lot of times people know who I used to be and think that because I'm still who I am, that I'm still that guy that they knew. Newsflash, people. Couldn't be further from the truth. I ain't nothing like who I was. Nothing. And the changes that a person can make, there has to be room allotted for that. Because, contrary to popular opinion, people do change. People do grow. People do evolve. If that's not your experience, then sucks to be you. But I'm not the same person I was 1, 2, 3, 20 years ago. No, let me say that properly. I'm not the person that I was 30, 20, 10, 5, 3, 2, not even 1 year ago. I'm not the same. In a universe where nothing rests and everything is in constant vibration and motion, how can you, the one looking at me, how can you feel comfortable or confident remaining the same? We all have room for growth. We all have room to better ourselves. And with that being stated, I'm going to cut this one short. As is always, it's my intent that my content can bring value or add value to someone else outside of myself. It's always my intent that my content can benefit somebody and force them to have to look themselves in the mirror, as I have, and dissect what you see there and get rid of what no longer serves you. We all have to do it. We don't have to, but it'll be at the detriment of our own selves. So with that being stated, man, y'all be easy. Y'all stay safe. Protect your health, your energy, your wealth, and whenever necessary, stay dangerous. Peace.